Welcome, everybody. My name is Ryan Mack, and I'll tell you, I was so excited. I know that we're coming across a deadline. October 31st is a very important deadline I want you all to really listen to. But there's an organization that's out there that's doing some phenomenal work around public student loan forgiveness. And it doesn't seem it's getting enough attention. And I was getting frustrated that a lot of people were talking about it. But then I came across this individual, Rich Leimsider, who has taken his own personal experience and turned it to another level. He's formed a local organization for New York and an organization for the entire country around bringing awareness to this much needed story. And we've got a limited amount of time. Rich Leimsider, thank you for joining me today.
Thanks so much for having me, Ryan. It's great to talk and great to spread the word.
Man, I'll tell you, I really have to commend you for your work. I commend you for your efforts. Talk a little bit about what you're doing, and I know you have a phenomenal story about student loan forgiveness. What exactly happened that inspired you to do this work that for almost a half a year now, you've taken it to the next level?
Yeah, no, that's exactly it, Ryan. This is a very personal story for me. So I am someone who's, had the privilege really of working in the nonprofit sector my whole career. I've spent more than 20 years coming out of school. I had a great education, great opportunities, but they were really expensive. And for more than 20 years, I've been paying down these student loans and they didn't go away. I still had, almost half of my student loans sitting over my head, over my family's head. And on May 11th, I woke up and I had this incredible notice in my inbox. Every single dollar of my student loans had been forgiven. I ran over to the computer, I logged on, and it was all just
Let me just pause there for a second, because I want to hear exactly how you did it, because I think people need to hear this story of how you did it. But just to have the gravity of your student loans being forgiven, because I know personally, I work with individuals daily who are struggling to plan for retirement, struggling to plan for any financial goals, struggling to buy a house because they've got this huge debt over their head every single day that they can't seem to get a chunk in. So exactly what was the process for you to on May 11th to get that notice that all of your student loans were forgiven?
Yeah, look, there's been a program around for 15 years. It just didn't work. The Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program, it was started in 2007. It was started with all of the best intentions. And the plan was, and still is, any American who does 10 years of service, 10 years military, police, teacher, any kind of government job, any kind of nonprofit job, you're working for a nonprofit hospital, a university, a community organization, anybody who puts together 10 years of public service will get every dollar of student loans that they still have at the end of that 10 years completely forgiven. And that was a big promise from the federal government since 2007. But unfortunately, it was a promise that was not kept. For the first 14 years, the program did not work. It was written badly. There were bureaucratic obstacles, and only 1% of the people who applied to get their money got it.
And so this is different, because a lot of people are getting confused between the latest Biden proposal and public student loan forgiveness. This has been around since Bush.
Correct. Exactly. He signed it. So this has nothing to do with the recent announcement. What's special about this is you got to do your 10 years. It's only for public servants, but it eliminates every dollar. I have a colleague at my former organization just had $341,000 in student debt eliminated. My friend Rod Jones, who runs Goddard Riverside in New York City, $190,000 worth of student debt that had been hanging over his head for decades. So it's an amazing program. And basically what happened, Ryan, is a year ago, the federal government realized that because of special powers they get during the COVID crisis, they were allowed to fix the program that was broken, but only fix it for a short period of time. And so this fix, PSLF is the name of the program, the fix is called the PSLF Waiver. And this waiver only lasts until October 31st. That's why that deadline you were talking about, so important right at the beginning, that's why that deadline exists. So, I'm the nerdy guy who paid attention to this kind of stuff. Like you, I'm interested in financial literacy and all this kind of, all this work. And so almost a year ago, I did see a little notice that they were going to try to fix this program again. And I submitted my 2-page application. It was not a complicated process once you've learned about it.
And so the process is only 2 pages. Again, I think that's important to really highlight, that it's not a long, lengthy process. I've helped individuals fill out the paper. It's only 2 pages. It's not like it's a long book of material that you have to go through.
No, the government already has all of our loan details. We don't need to find our old files about our loan program. We don't need to get a letter that our loan servicer sent us. They already have that. We need to go to the government's website and tell them where we've been working. So it's a 1-page cover sheet that says, hi, I would like my loans forgiven. And then it's 1 page for every employer. So if you've been working in one place for 10 years, it's only that 2nd page. If you've had 3 jobs, you need 3 pages, 1 for each employer. And the employer does have to sign off to say you've been working there. But that's really it. That's the whole application. There's a lot of detail. There's a lot of legal changes. There's pages and pages you can read about. But the truth is, none of that really matters. You don't actually have to know the secret details of the program in order to apply, get yourself in line, and get the loans forgiven. So we really encourage people, the way you start is you go to the government's website, studentaid.gov/PSLF, and there's about a 20-30-minute help tool there where you type in everywhere you've been working, and it prints out the forms for you. You print them out, you get them signed, and you submit them. It really doesn't take more than an hour or 2 of actual work once you get around to it.
And that's really been something you've been promoting, is that help tool a lot, because that help tool really is the focal point of where everyone needs to just I want everyone listening here to focus on going to that help tool. Say that website again one more time, because I think that's been a focal point of where you're sending people to.
Yeah, it's studentaid.gov/PSLF. And really, that's the whole thing. I'm not a financial counselor. I'm not a student loan expert. I'm an enthusiastic guy who had my own loans forgiven. Everything we're doing with PSLF.NYC, PSLF.US is just about getting the word out. You know, we've already been able to reach hundreds of thousands, a couple million Americans with social media, with webinars, with outreach through partners and unions and things like that. But there's too many people left. There's hundreds of thousands of folks still, in line, could get their loans forgiven. And we just got to get this message out to as many people as we can to go to that website. If they get stuck, come visit us. Come to our PSLF US NYC websites. We're going to, we have folks back. We're going to support them through the process. But really the place to start is that studentaid.gov/PSLF website.
And so what about those individuals who, you said public service for 10 years? What about those individuals who've only been working for 2 years? You have a solution for that as well.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. There's a couple of things to flag. One is, by the way, you don't have to have graduated from your school program in order to take advantage of this program. So from an anti-poverty perspective, from a racial equity perspective, we know that the disproportionate burden of student loan debt falls on communities of color. But actually, Ryan, as you probably know, falls particularly on Black women. One of the real opportunities is folks that have been working in the public sector who tried a year of higher education, tried to get that associate's degree, that nursing degree, something else, never made it through. So still have that $20,000 in debt, but never quite got the degree or the credential to get us to the next level of salary. Those folks are eligible for loan forgiveness. And then, yes, exactly. People who have fewer than 10 years of service credits still have to get their paperwork in now by the deadline so that they get at least the credit for the years they deserve. One of the biggest flaws with the program as it existed for the last 14 years was that if you didn't hear about it for the first few years, the government couldn't give you credit for that work. So if you were a school teacher with 6 years in the system and then learned about the program, submitted your papers, the government put you at year 0. They basically had to assume you hadn't done any work. So we want to reach out to all of those friends and colleagues 2 years in, 5 years in, 7 years into work. You got to get your papers in now during this special time period so that you at least get to be on step 5, step 7, when on November 1st, the program goes back to the bad old version. The program doesn't go away. It just goes back to that bad version of itself. And we want our friends and our neighbors and our colleagues to be on step 7 so that they're only 3 years away from loan forgiveness instead of being set back to 10 years away.
So it's a real, it's a real dilemma. It's a real problem that someone might have, that they're on their 8th year of public service. They don't get their paperwork in, and October 31st passes and November 1st comes. They're back at the old program. They fill out their paperwork then, and they put them to step 0, not getting credit for those 7, 8, 9 years of public service that they've been doing.
It's tragic. That's what happened to me in 2018. I hit my 10 years in 2018. I hadn't had my paperwork straight. I was told I was at zero. Come back in the year 2028 to get loan forgiveness. They told me, do another 10 years. So of course we all sort of threw it away and forgot about it. It was only because of this waiver program that my own loans were forgiven. They went back and gave me those credits.
I'm busting at the inside because I'm thinking about all those people who are at the kitchen table thinking and worried and stressed about their student loans. I counsel people regularly stressed about student loans. It's a looming cloud over the head of so many families. If you had a message to the churches out there, to the unions out there, to the Greek letter organizations out there, if you had a message to say, what's one thing, because all these people should be busting at the chops.
Yes.
To get a hold of what you're saying and spread it to all their people. They should be so excited and put it as priority issue number one to spread it to all of their people, because this really is a huge lift for the working class Americans, especially people in public service. What would be the message you want to give them?
On average, this is $60,000 in everybody's pocket.
Man.
This is, altogether, it's a $200 billion wealth transfer to the working class that nobody's been talking about. So we want everybody to spend that 20 minutes, that 30 minutes. Nothing bad can happen from using the help tool. The help tool doesn't actually even submit the forms for you. So you can't get into trouble even if you get the information wrong the first time you run it. You can run it more than once. Every single person who has been working in public service and has any kind of student loans needs to go to that help tool now in the next couple of days and spend 30 minutes, see where they stand and start moving it forward. That's 30 minutes. That could be $60,000, $100,000, in some cases even more. It's the best time most of us will ever spend. That's Michael Jordan money per minute. That's hedge fund billionaire money per minute. 30 minutes to make $100,000. That's not bad. Pretty soon you're talking about real money. And so we want everybody to hear that message, get to that studentaid.gov/PSLF website. And then again, if they get stuck, come visit us. Come see us at PSLF.NYC, PSLF.US, and we're going to support you.
Well, Rich Leimsider, I want to say thank you for getting this message out. You've been, to me, an answer to my frustration that someone else is out there who's taken, not just being frustrated about it, but created an entire movement around it. I'm a huge supporter. Thank you, Rich Leimsider, for your time.
Thank you so much, Ryan.
All right, have a good day. God bless.